The other topic that arose, and we've already referred to it, the $70 billion in cuts. Let's just go back there for a second, because there's been Laurie Oakes interpreted this as Joe Hockey taking charge of the situation, taking charge of the finances in the coalition, and also showing a bit of mongrel was the way that he put it. So let's hear from Joe Hockey and then Graham Richardson.
It's a significant number, but I'll tell you what we're doing. I'll tell you what we're doing. We are going through the budget line by line, item by item. Therefore, finding 50, 60 or 70 billion is about identifying waste, identifying areas where you do not need to proceed with programs. And no apologies for it.
What's happened now is Gillard and Swan have got the opportunity to run one right back at him, because 70 billion is an enormous sum, and you can't possibly do it without hurting people. You're going to have to hurt people across the board. I don't know how they'll get 70 billion and still be electable. This is a lay-down misère for making up ground for Labor, and they haven't had one, not one in a year.
So why have they put it out there?
Well, I don't know if they did put it out there. It was a leak that Mark Ryle and Channel 7 got. But I think you were right before. I think Joe Hockey and others have realised, they've got a committee of 5 or 6 or 7, realised if we keep asking for an election to be called immediately, we better have something to take to that election, including economic management. And then they've calculated what they've got to, the sort of money they've got to find, and then when they got up from the floor, sat around the table and started looking where these cuts could be made. But even if the dreams of some were answered and the entire public service was sacked tomorrow, that's $15 billion a year that might be saved, not in programs they deliver, but on salaries and etc. That's $15 billion in 1 year. There's a long way to go from there, and I think the opposition is starting to realise that the task it has set itself, if it's not going to increase taxes, if in fact it's going to cut taxes, increase pensions, deliver its own direct action climate change policy, is starting to edge away from its grasp.
And is this, in effect, Joe Hockey asserting himself in some way, Piers?
Well, Joe Hockey is the Treasury spokesman. He's has access to as much economic data as the leader, and is second to none within the rest of the party.
He set himself a task, hasn't he? $70 billion, that's a lot of waste.
It's a big task, and it was interesting that it was that Channel 7 reporter, the same bloke who stood up and asked Julia Gillard at the press club what he could do to help her. So, I'm not sure.
He did not say
yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
What can we do to help you, Prime Minister, he said.
But this 70 billion, let's keep an eye on this. This 70 billion includes $8 billion of tax cuts that are being promised by the opposition. So not only are they going to, I mean, this is fantasy land, and if Joe Hockey is asserting himself, it may be that he realises that something along these lines is needed to jolt some reality into his own side. To find those amazing cuts and then to give $8 billion back in tax cuts, this is amazing.
But, David, by not imposing this climate change tax, this
70
carbon
billion.
tax. No, but that removes the tax cuts. You see, if you're not going to tax people, therefore the tax cut, you don't have to tax.
I think it's
unfindable.
They promised tax cuts separate to that.
Yeah.
I think this is unfindable. It's unfindable.
Okay.
$70 billion, unfindable.
Good.
All right, more with our panel shortly. Malcolm Farr, here's Ackerman and David Marr, but now here's Mike Bowers and Talking Pictures.